evening, I'd like to call to order the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education regular public meeting for April 25th, 2019. Mrs. Saradaki, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Bauer?
Here.
Mrs. Blumenauer?
Here.
Mrs. Brody?
Here.
Dr. Clancy?
Here.
Mrs. Soriani?
Here.
Mrs. Williams?
Here.
Mrs. Winkler?
Here.
Dr. Kulakowski?
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you, Ms. Saradaki. Will you please join me in the salute to the flag? Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Prior to this meeting, we just had our executive session, and in the executive session, we discussed the personnel agenda, suspension report, and the legal status report. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Board of Education offices located at Cedar Street and Evergreen Avenue, Scotch Plains, New Jersey. Such notice was also provided in written notice and forwarded to the Times, the Township Clerk of Scotch Plains, and the Borough Clerk of Fanwood in the annual notice of regularly scheduled meetings as adopted March 29, 2018. The additions to the agenda are as follows. 3S, field trip approval. 4S, textbook adoption. 13 BUS, special ed settlement. 14 BUS, 2019-2020 safety grant submission. 15 BUS, masonry and sidewalk repair. 16 BUS, inclusive playground at Coles, and 2 POL, approval of policies for the first reading. At this time, we go on to the instructional updates. Dr. Hayes?
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call forward Trishan Ray. Trishan here? Come on up, Trishan. And if you could come to the podium right there. Okay. Trishan is being recognized tonight because he's a 4th grade student at Evergreen School, and Trishan has achieved 2nd place in Pontonian's Healthy School Lunch Challenge, which was a challenge that was done in connection with National Nutrition Month. This is a 2nd place among all of the schools in New Jersey that participate with Pontonian in our food service provider, and we are extremely proud of Trishan for achieving this honor. The rules that he had to follow for his recipe include his entry had to have at least 1 fruit or vegetable, contain a lean protein, feature whole grains, and utilize healthy cooking techniques. And Pontonian will be bringing and hanging a banner in Evergreen School's lunchroom celebrating Trishan's achievement, and his award-winning recipe is going to be prepared and sold in the school cafeteria. In honor of this, we do have a certificate for Trishan. And Trishan, they can lower the mic for you. If you want to talk a little bit about your recipe, that would be fantastic.
Congratulations, Trishan. I'd like you to say a few words.
So one day, I was at my kitchen table when I heard about this contest. My mother and I decided to enter it. I asked my mother, what if we make a pancake with vegetables in it? She agreed and thought it was a great idea. We started making it and slowly improving it by she making it and I tasting it. And she started adding new vegetables like bell pepper and carrots. And then we submitted the recipe to the contest. I would be very happy if all the kids at Evergreen are satisfied with our creation.
We have Prashant's parents come up so we could get a picture with them as well. Right back, Prashant. Come on up. You come back. You're a star.
Right here. Stay right here. Turn around. Here. Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mom,
Congratulations, Rashawn. That is a wonderful story. Thank you.
All right, and now we're going to have to bring the screen down, but I'd like to bring forward Susan Zazara, Christina Rodriguez, and Emily Phillips, and Barbara Crestridge. You may introduce your students. We have a wonderful presentation for you tonight based upon work that all of these wonderful teachers did in relation to the Holocaust Museum that was developed and displayed at Park Middle School. And they're going to tell you more about it, and I will pull the screen.
You might be okay for now.
What?
We're going to share the slideshow at the end.
Okay.
So I think Barb also needs it for her
Okay.
presentation. Well, good evening, board members, administrators, parents, and community members. Thank you for giving our Park Middle School students an opportunity to showcase and share their learning experience from our 6th grade language arts Holocaust unit. I'm Susan Zazara, and I've been teaching our 6th grade Holocaust unit for over 10 years. I'd just like to highlight some of the important aspects that this unit focuses on. Students became aware of how prejudice, intolerance, and evil have affected humanity throughout history. Through readings, listening to Holocaust survivor testimony, and discussing various topics related to the Holocaust, students have come to learn how such a tragic event happened and what we can do to make sure it never happens again. Some reading selections included Hannah's Suitcase by Karen Levine and The Children of Wilson Lane, a true story of hope and survival during World War II by Monica Levesque and Lee Cohen, as well as a variety of historical fiction titles focusing on the Holocaust and World War II. Students also became familiar with how certain laws and propaganda caused Jews and non-Jews to think and feel a certain way, which had a significant role in the Holocaust. We also read and discussed resistors of the Holocaust, such as Rescue in Denmark and Oscar Schindler, so students can understand that there are ways to fight and overcome evil, no matter how small the act. The final culminating project was for students to create an artifact for our 6th grade Holocaust Remembrance Museum as a way to honor and preserve the memory of the tragic events of the Holocaust. Students here today will discuss this experience with you. We also have a slideshow highlighting the student projects, which we will share at the end of our presentation.
Good evening. As previously mentioned, we read various texts and books throughout the Holocaust unit, and the books that we select truly teach our students how to become empathetic readers. They're placing themselves in the shoes of others' lives, and they are seeing how the different experiences of childhood are formed based on their environment. And some of the essential questions that are targeted in this unit are: what leads people to follow others and be persuaded by his or her actions or speech? What leads people to hate others? How can we make sure something like the Holocaust never happens again? They're obviously very deep, complex questions that can't be taught in a span of 2 months, but our students do an excellent job of analyzing both text and media sources, comparing and contrasting different perspectives, and identifying the root causes of historic events such as the Holocaust. And my student, Sanvi Suresh, is here with her project, and she'll be explaining the meaning of her project as well as what part of history it represented.
When we started this unit, most of us
Push the microphone down.
started this unit, most of us, including me, barely knew anything about the Holocaust. And now we understand how much the victims of this tragedy had to endure. My project is a demonstration of the burning of the books, which is an event that took place on May 10, 1932. Some authors who had their books burned were Helen Keller, Bertolt Brecht, Karl Marx, Ernest Hemingway, and many more. Overall moral of my project incorporated a quote from one of the authors whose books were burned, Heinrich Heine. His quote was, "When they burn books, they will, in the end, burn human beings too." This unit taught me the importance of walking in other people's shoes. As Audre Lorde once said, it is not our differences that divide us, it is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences.
Michael Cantwell will now share his project.
Hi, I'm Michael Cantwell. I learned in the Holocaust unit that we as a society should not inflict any hatred on anyone, no matter how we feel about their culture and way of life. My project is a half Nazi soldier and half Jewish Holocaust victim. It is called Critical Conditions, and it represents how Jews had a much harder life and were treated unfairly because of their beliefs. The Nazi half represents power and the strength that Nazis abused during the Holocaust. Critical conditions remind us of the acts of hatred that can break a person, and we should never express hatred to those who are different, because in a way we are all different, even if we blend into the crowd. This unit taught myself and my classmates how extreme hatred can have awful effects on its victims, and we can all learn to be better human beings and treat each other with compassion.
Wonderful sculpture.
Good evening, I'm Barbara Prestridge and I teach art at Park Middle School. In February, our arts integration team had the privilege of working with the district's middle school writing workshop teachers in using music and art to enrich and deepen the writing process. Shortly after that workshop, I was contacted by Emily Phillips, wanting to collaborate as she was planning her Holocaust reading and writing unit. Emily's research had found music that had been written in the concentration camp, Terezin. In addition, she knew the story of an art teacher who had secretly worked with children in that same camp. Mrs. Phillips' ideas were very exciting on two levels. First, moving forward in collaboration as teachers was a very positive next step following our arts integration workshop. And secondly, Mrs. Phillips had music and art that were very direct and true to the concentration camp experience that she wanted her students to understand. On the day of our arts integration experience, I was able to join Mrs. Phillips' writing class. We wanted to immerse the students in the setting of the concentration camp Terezin. We wanted the students to experience two extremes of the camp. By listening to music and creating images, we felt that we could more directly enter that world. We opened the class with the following words. Students, today you will become a child in Terezin. You will imagine and feel the fears and hopes of the children in that camp. By listening to music and creating art, you will be expressing how you may have felt at that time in Terezin. We then had the students listen to a piece of music written for a string trio by the composer Gideon Klein while he was living in the Terrazan camp. The students were guided to actively listen. As they closed their eyes, they entered and felt the music. That musical composition was discovered after Gideon Klein's death in that camp. As students were visibly moved by this music, they then went on to create artwork in colors, forms, lines, and energy that were inspired by that music. Following the first arts experience, we then discussed the art teacher that the students had read about in the book in a suitcase. In Terrazan, there was an art teacher, Friedel Dicker Brandeis, who secretly worked with the children there. We presented the following words of Friedel. We listened to a different mood of music, and the students created another piece of art. These are the words of Friedel Dicker Brandeis, as remembered by a surviving child of the camp. As Friedel fought to preserve the children's spirits and sense of hope, she told her art students, "Think of freedom. Fly out above the barbed wire and be free. Let your creative spirit and imagination give you strength and energy. Tell me what is in your heart. Put it down on paper." Following these two very different arts experiences, Mrs. Phillips then led her students into the writing.
The final writing product inspired by music and the arts produced some of the best writing pieces I've received all year. And Maria Gonzalez's art and poem are a reflection of the combining of all three elements to inspire the students in their creation of artwork and writing.
Both of the music pieces that were played really opened my imagination a lot. I pictured the melody and harmony of both songs. Then I pictured each as a little movie scene and drew and wrote them down. In Dream Trio by Gideon Klein, I felt my heart aching and felt trapped in a world filled with gray. To show what I felt about the music piece, I drew an abstract painting of a Jew trapped in a cage trying to reach out a beautiful butterfly that was outside of the cage. And Beethoven Bastrola piece, I felt hope. I felt open and freedom inside of me. To show all of my feelings, I wrote a letter to God from a young Jew, Sarah Starzinski's point of view. The letter was asking God to send them some hope so that they can survive life in the ghetto. I also decided to write a small poem on hope that had to do with the ghetto as well. I discovered the value of hope and how much it can help you survive in any situation. I was very inspired by both music pieces, and I was able to draw and write them as a scene in the ghetto and enjoy doing it as well. The title of the poem was called H. It was very hard to cope until I found hope. I didn't clean myself with soap, but I cleaned myself with hope. I didn't have any ropes, I climbed up with hope.
We're going to share our slideshow with you, highlighting students' work. The students really had the same content, if you will, and the takeaway was so very different for over 200 students, which for doing this for so long is probably one of the biggest things that always amazes me year to year. It's just they have a personal takeaway and what they're able to create. We just want to thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share our experience and also to highlight our students' work because they are, excuse me, so proud of it. I still get emotional listening to Barb talk about that experience. It just, it brings me to tears. My students see me cry every year through this unit, they really do. And I think that's an okay thing because we're humans and this is really emotional. So thank you again so much.
Could we have the 3 students come up and show their artwork and have a photo of it?
Oh, love that.
And their teachers? Yes. That'd be great, the teachers behind with their teachers.
Sure.
And their principal, well, while they're getting positions.
Right up here.
The Holocaust Museum that is on that part, is that year-round or is it a part of the unit?
No, it's in our
In
classrooms.
your classrooms. It was amazing. Thank you.
Paparazzi, look at this.
I think one more face was supposed to be all right. Michael, can you try to smile? I know I'm dead. You don't have to, those okay.
We appreciate everybody taking the time to come and present. We didn't get a chance to come to departmental school to see all the presentations, and I have gone in the past, in years ago, and I was quite moved by the little projects that everybody made. So the fact that you collaborated and brought everything here, I greatly appreciate that. And, kudos to the students. Those are beautiful, the student sampling projects that were here, but between the sculpture and the poem and the book burning, those are all wonderful projects, and I can see how much you've learned and you've got out of that, so thank you. Anybody else? Isabel?
I just wanted to say, I happened today to hear a 91-year-old Holocaust survivor speak about her experience. She was a young child in Poland, and she would be so proud of the students and the teachers for what you're doing, because I think the thing to her that was most important is that people not forget. And I think too, the other thing is that she continually talked about through these many harrowing, impossible to believe experiences, was how many people stepped up and helped her at different points, and that's the only reason she survived. And she talked about, when she talks to school groups, about how students who have learned about the Holocaust learn to stand up to bullying and to other things that are the beginnings of Holocausts that can repeat themselves. So I just wanted to tell you, I know and there are not that many survivors, they're disappearing all the time. So it makes it extra important, the kinds of things that you all did and that you, the teachers, are continuing to do over time. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bell. Anybody else for comments?
I just want to thank you for sharing your art, because your art and your writing are pieces of you and your emotions, and that's not always very easy to share. So I really appreciate your coming forward and sharing with people that you don't know. And you know, you took a time in history that is really so dark and scary, and you really created beauty. And so I'm so happy that you shared your art and writing with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Soriano. Dr. Hayes?
So I also want to add my thanks. I did have the opportunity to attend their museum, and I was so impressed with every individual project. I want to compliment the teachers on how this unit has evolved over time, the thoughtfulness that you put into it. And yes, we've had the display at other times, but each year that these teachers engage in doing this, they really do make it better. And this year, by having it displayed in the cottages at the park, it really created a very, very special place for people to come and for other classes throughout the school to come and experience this. I also want to thank you for the integration of the art and the music into this work, because we know the work that the district has been doing in this area has really helped students learn at a more deep level. And the remembrances that they will have of these units will stay with them forever. And finally, I wanted to speak to how valuable this work is in terms of bringing out universal themes that we all need to remain cognizant of. It is so important that through this learning, our students are learning about the importance of caring, compassion, tolerance, and understanding of others' perspectives, which are universal pieces that go beyond even this unit and speak to the very essence of what we need to learn in order to get along with one another in today's contemporary society. And for those students that are here tonight, thank you for contributing to this, because we know that you make your school a better place as a result, and in turn you're going to make the world a better place for all of us to live in. I just really want to thank you. It was a moving afternoon for me to be there, and thank you for bringing it forward. I remember saying to the teachers, we have to share this, and you have surpassed my expectations in terms of how you've organized it and brought it to us tonight. So thank you.
I believe there'll be a press release at some point. I shared that.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it's coming out or if it's been out yet, but.
We haven't seen it yet.
Right.
Okay.
We put it in, but sometimes, you know.
It takes a while.
Takes a while.
I know the kids were excited to want to
Yes.
know where and when, so they can move it.
Exactly. We'll share as soon as we know. I know I have a copy of it. And, you know, we don't control
Absolutely.
what they print, but we certainly want to share the importance of this with others. And parents, thank you for bringing your students tonight. Thank you for coming out. Dr. Dumas, thank you for being here, because it is so important that we all find ways to collaborate and share in these messages of hope.
Thank you, Dr. Hayes. Thank you, everyone, for coming and presenting a really wonderful presentation.
And we're respectful of your time, so unless you're really interested in the rest of our agenda, we won't be offended.
Why don't you go that way? We don't trip on the Thank you, congratulations. Well done up there. Thank you.
Do you want to keep the projects here on display at the board office for any reason? Or if not, it's okay.
I think it's best for you to hold on.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Okay, and our other instructional update this evening will be the budget public hearing and final adoption of the 2019-2020 budget. Board comments regarding the school budget.
I would just like to say that every year, I appreciate the hard work that's done by Mrs. Xavier and the administrative staff and the budget ready starting in September. And it really makes a difference. And we thank you for your work on it. Thank you.
Is there anyone from the public that wishes to make a Seeing no one, any other board members? Thank you. Is someone from the Finance Committee making a motion for the adoption of the school budget? Move that the Board of Education adopts the 2019-2020 school budget as follows. Be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Board of Education hereby approves submission to the Executive County Superintendent of Schools the final budget for the 2019-2020 school year as follows. General fund budget, $99,103,937. General fund budget local tax levy, $91,197,248. Special revenue fund, $2,788,307. Debt service fund, $1,352,250. Debt service budget local tax levy, $1,352,250. Total general and debt levy, $92,549,498, with a total budget of $103,244,494. Be it further resolved that the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education hereby approves travel and related expense reimbursements in accordance with NJAC 6A23B 1.2b to a maximum expenditure of $200,000 for all staff and board members. For 2018-2019, a maximum of $200,000 was established and $41,881.47 was expended through February 28, 2019. For a second? Second. Thank you, Ms. Soriani. Any other comments or discussion or questions? Therefore, it is budget. Do we need a roll call vote? No. Okay, so all those in favor to support the 2019-2020 budget, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, in accordance with the Scotch Plains Fanwood Public Schools bylaws 0164-0165, the meeting will be open for 15 minutes for public comment, maximum 2 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing the superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first. Time remains, speakers may address other matters. When you come to the podium, please state your name and the town in which you reside. Seeing no one, we'll move on to committee reports. Are there any committee reports this evening? I know we had several in the last meeting. No additionals? Okay. No committee reports. Letters to the board. One LET is an email dated on April 13, 2019, received from David and Melissa Tice of Scotch Plains regarding a complaint of loud music at the high school field. Mrs. Saridaki has responded. That brings us to the superintendent's report. Dr. Hayes?
Thank you. One is tonight, I would ask that the board approve the out-of-district placements as listed on the agenda.
Can I have a motion? Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Clancy. Thank you, Ms. Cody. Any questions or comments? Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you. Two, I would ask that the board affirm the superintendent's decisions in the 2 harassment, intimidation, and bullying cases that were reported in executive session on April 11, 2019. These were cases 060-1819-05 and 065-1819-15.
Can I have a motion?
So
moved. Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. And a second? Thank you, Mrs. Brody. Any questions or comments?
I wasn't present on April 11th. I need to abstain as well. I wasn't present.
Mrs. Soriani and Dr. Quincy are abstaining. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And we have the 2 abstentions. Thank you. Thank you, motion carries.
3 yes, I would ask that the board approve the field trip as described on the agenda. Terrell Middle School students, 7th and 8th grade, are going to attend the Model UN Debate Club in Highland Park High School on Saturday, May 18th, so that they can participate in the Model UN conference.
Can I have a motion? Thank you. And thank you. Okay, any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And 4S, I would ask, thank you. 4S, I would ask the board adopt the textbook that was recommended through the curriculum committee. This is the Lanahan Readings in American Polity 6th edition, which will be used in our social studies AP US Government and Politics class.
Can I have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. A second? Second. Mrs. Soriani, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I think this is roll call.
Oh, excuse me, roll call. Ms. Saradaki, will you please go over that?
Mrs. Winkler?
Yes.
Dr. Clancy?
Yes.
Mrs. Bauer?
Yes.
Mrs. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Brody?
Yes.
Mrs. Siriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Dr. Kulikowski?
Yes. Motion carries. Mrs. Soriani, can you say that?
No, it's not going to
That's not Clancy. Thank you, Ms. Saradaki.
And lastly, I would ask that the board approve the personnel agenda as reviewed in executive session this evening.
Can I have a motion? So moved. Thank you, Mrs. Brody. And second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Warren. Any discussion or question? Mrs. Saradaki, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Brody?
Yes.
Mrs. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Bauer?
Yes.
Dr. Clancy?
Yes.
Mrs. Siriani?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Winkler?
Yes.
Dr. Kulikowski?
Yes. Motion carries.
Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Hayes. At this time, in accordance with Scotch Plains Family Public Schools Bylaw 0164, 0165, the meeting will be open for a maximum of 15 minutes for public comments, maximum of 2 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing the superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first. If time remains, speakers may address other matters. When you come to the podium, please state your name and the town in which you reside. Seeing no one, we'll move on to the business functions. Mrs. Saradaki.
I would like to group these if there's no objection.
Sure, go right ahead.
One BUS, I'm asking for approval of the staff training on the superintendent's recommendations for staff training and on the report dated April 25th, 2019. 2 BUS, I'm asking that the board acknowledge receipt of disbursement listings for the month of March 2019. 3 BUS, I'm asking the board to acknowledge the receipt of the district's school security and fire drill reports for the month of March 2019. 4 BUS, I'm asking for the board to approve the continuation of the existing subscription busing program at the rate of $6.25, which is no change for the 2019-20 school year. 5 BUS are the 2019-20 monthly tax payments by municipality based on the budget that was approved earlier tonight. 6 BUS, I'm asking the board to approve the claim inventory to perform an asset inventory of the new assets in the district and slight inventory of past assets on the books. The total fee is $2,600. 7 BUS, I'd like the board to approve the 2019-20 athletic bid award. This is done through Ed Data Services, and these are the dollar amounts that would be awarded to the various vendors for athletic equipment. 8 BUS was approved on April 11, 2019. 9 BUS, I'm asking the board to acknowledge receipt of the board secretary report, treasurer's full fund reports, and budget adjustment, and certify that no line item has encumbrances and expenditures that exceed the appropriation amount for the month of March 2019. 10 BUS, I'm asking the board to approve the bills for the period March 26th through April 22nd, 2019, in the amount of $3,435,932.49. 11 BUS, I'm asking the board to approve renewal of NJSIAA membership for the year 2019-20 at the rate of $2,150, which is the same as the prior year. 12 BUS, I'm asking for the board to approve additional related services through Kathleen Graziano in the amount of $10,000. 13 BUS, I'm asking for the board approval on a special education settlement in the amount of $31,236.54 for the 2018-19 school year, and if the placement continues, a maximum cost of $70,000 in 2019-20. 14 BUS, I'm asking the board to approve the submission of the 2019-20 safety grant through New Jersey Schools Insurance Group in the amount of $15,775.32, and this grant will provide funding for replacement of cracked and broken sidewalks and other walkway areas to reduce the number of trip fall hazards for students, staff, and visitors to the schools. 15 BUS, coincidentally, I'm asking for the board to approve dollars for masonry and sidewalk repair at various schools in the amount of $235,730. This is higher than we normally have. I'll explain a couple of the items. Under the high school, you see it's almost $100,000. That includes the front sidewalk along Westfield Road, which is expensive. And it also includes the work that we received a letter regarding earlier this year about ADA access to the soccer field, the turf at the soccer field. So that will include the concrete work required to get to the field. And in front of any extra work that's needed in front of the bleachers. You'll see a high cost at Kohl's. That includes the base for the playground, which is in 16 BUS. Due to needs of students, we need to install an inclusive playground at Kohl's Elementary School. And this is equipment that I think all the students will enjoy. This has been worked with special services and the principal at Kohl's. And there are 4 pieces of equipment and installation in the amount of $32,155.02, and the rubber surfacing, which has to be poured on the concrete to make a safe surface that a wheelchair can actually wheel on. And that is $8,992.89. These are both under the Educational Services Contract Commission of New Jersey. And funds for this will be withdrawn from excess extraordinary aid from 2017-18. And that's it. Can I have a motion for those business items?
So moved. Second. Thank you, and thank you. Any questions, comments, discussions on any of those items? Dr. Clancy?
On number 14, there's a typo. At the end, it says submission safety plan. We're on the line.
Instead of grant, instead of missing the letter G. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Dr. Clancy. Anything else?
I just wanted to highlight for the public again that part of our budget that we have to plan for is keeping our schools up to code and safe, and masonry and sidewall is one of those items that isn't flashy or interesting, but it's very important.
Thank you, Dr. Clancy, I agree. Anybody else? I just want to say that I think it's commendable that we're putting in the inclusive playground equipment. I'm just wondering exactly, can you explain what's different about it?
We're putting in 3 musical instruments.
Things like the elective? Okay.
Yes, and they have mallets attached, and a set of drums, outdoor drums, and also a whirl, which is like a merry-go-round, only it's actually at the same level as the surface of the playground. So something can be wheeled directly onto it. There's also a seat on it. You can have up to probably 4 or 5 students on it going around, but you can also place a wheelchair on there. So I think it's the type of toys that all the students will enjoy, so it won't be like a student playing alone.
Thank you for explaining. Thank you. Okay, can I have a motion?
We have
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Sarajaki. Board policies. Okay, Mrs. Wayne.
I'd like to move that the board approve second reading for adoption of the following policies. Policy 2422, health and physical education. Policy 2425, physical education being abolished. Policy 2431.3, practice and preseason key affirmation for school-sponsored athletics and extracurricular activities. Policy 2610, educational program evaluation. Policy 4219, commercial driver's license, controlled substance and alcohol use testing. Policy and regulation 5111, eligibility of resident and non-resident students. Policy 5337, service animals. Policy 5756, transgender students. Policy and regulation 7440, school district security. Policy 2415.06, unsafe school choice option. Regulation 2460.8, special education, free and appropriate public education. Regulation 5530, substance abuse. Policy and regulation 5600, student discipline code of conduct. Policy and regulation 5611, removal of students for firearms offenses. Policy and regulation 5612, assaults on district board of education members or employees. Policy and regulation 5613, removal of students for assaults with weapons offenses. Policy and regulation 8461, reporting violence, vandalism, harassment, intimidation, bullying, alcohol, and other drug offenses.
We have a motion. We have the motion for a second.
Second, thank you. Any question or discussion on any of the policies? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Wilbur.
And then I'd like to move that the board approve for first reading the following board policies. I'll list them and then I'll describe them. Policy 5330.04, administering an opioid antidote. Policy 5330.04, regulation 5330.04, administering an opioid antidote, as well as bylaw 0132, executive authority, bylaw 0141, board member number and term, bylaw 0143, board member election and appointment, bylaw 0151, organization meeting, and bylaw 0153, annual appointments. Going back to them, policy 5330.04, as well as regulation 5330.04, administering an opioid antidote. The regulation is new. Public Law 2018, Chapter 106, New Jersey Statute 18A:40-12.23 through 12.27 was recently approved, requiring schools with grades 9 through 12 to obtain an opioid antidote under a standing order. The new law requires an opioid antidote to be accessible in the school building during regular school hours and during school-sponsored functions that take place in the school or on school grounds adjacent to the school building at any time. The updated policy has a few key provisions. The requirement to acquire an opioid antidote and administer it in an emergency situation is now mandated for all schools with grades 9 through 12. As well as being optional for other schools. We are including in our policy to also include schools with grades 5 through 8. The school district shall require training through the specified appropriate entity or entities for the school nurse and designated staff members who volunteer to administer the opioid antidote. A person that was administered an opioid antidote must be transported to the hospital by emergency services personnel after the administration, even if the individual's symptoms appear to be resolved. And the school nurse or designated trained staff members who volunteer to administer the opioid antidote shall not be held liable for any good faith act or omission when administering an opioid antidote. A school district with a school with grades 9 through 12 is required to have a school nurse or staff member trained to administer an opioid antidote promptly available on-site at the school during regular hours and at all school-sponsored functions that take place in the school or on school grounds adjacent to the school building at any time. The new law is effective December 1st, 2018, requires the DOE to establish guidelines which had not yet been published. To that end, the policy and the regs may need to be revised when the Department of Education guidance is published. So that's kind of where it's at for now. So we wrote our regs based on what Strauss SBA created, based on the laws as they exist now, and maybe when additional guidance is released, maybe changes about it. Bylaw 0132 for executive authority. The bylaw is being updated with slight word changes in paragraph 2. Instead of reading are not inconsistent with statutes, we're writing are consistent with statutes because it's just that much clearer to put it that way. In addition, in paragraph 2, we're replacing the word students with the word we're replacing the word pupils with the word students, bringing everything into, making everything uniform so that as it have been all pupils at some point and all of our policies and things have been turned over to students. So just bringing everything into alignment together. And in the third paragraph, the word regular was inserted before board meeting. Bylaw 0141, board member number and term, Public Law 2013 C-172 was adopted, amending various parts of the school election laws to accommodate the November school election option. Our current bylaw does not address the process to change the annual school election from April to November or the dates and details of the filing of board member nominating petitions. However, one provision in Public Law 2013 C-172 revises the NJSA 18A 12 to 15 concerning the filling of board member vacancies. The revision in the statute outlines the specifics of vacancies occurring within 60 days of the annual school election in April or occurring after the third Monday in July for a November election. Bylaws 0141 and 0143 have been revised to incorporate the provisions of NJSA 18A 12 to 15. And bylaw 0141 should replace the existing 0141 in our bylaws. top of that, bylaw 0143 for board member election and appointment has minor revisions. An important component of bylaw 0143 addresses case law that indicates the public is entitled to witness deliberations, policy formulation, and the decision-making process of the board for selecting a person to fill a board member vacancy. The revised bylaw provides this option, as it does not require public interviews with candidates to fill a vacancy, but requires public discussion by board members in the public voting process so the public can witness deliberations, policy formulation, and the decision-making process. So we revised that. And bylaws 0151 organization meeting and 0153 annual appointments have been revised to accommodate the November school election options and some citation changes for regional school districts.
Thank you, Mrs. White. Thank you.
Do we have a motion? If we have the motion, we have a second. Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Any discussion, questions?
I just wanted to ask, how much we think the antidote one might cost? Is it going to cost us more money?
We have the antidotes, so there was the cost of having it, and then there will be the cost of training for staff.
The school nurses also received training through their organization and received free antidotes as well from the schools.
I know through MAC, they had several free, open to the public training sessions for anyone who may find themselves in a situation around people that may have overdoses, and they were giving out the training for free as well as the antidote.
The challenge for us is going to be to make sure that we have training available, so that, for example, coaches and other people, when nurses are not on site.
You didn't have to be a nurse.
I know you don't have to be a nurse to administer, but we have to make sure that those who will potentially be using it to support somebody when the nurses are not available have the appropriate training.
I think Matt did it at least 3 times this year.
Right, the school nurses will be training our staff as well. Because there's a large number of, in addition to the outside training, there are a large number of coaches, extracurricular advisors that would need to be trained. So our school nurses will turn through that training.
Yeah, I think it was also provided through the county.
Yes.
So that way it could encompass as many people as possible.
And when I read that about the guidance, I was wondering what guidance are we expecting the state to give? Anything? Are there rumors? Are there?
It is not uncommon for a bill to move through the legislature faster than it usually includes provisions, and Department of Ed will come up with something. When you notice this with the Anti-Gun Bill of Rights Act, that when that law was passed, it required the DOE to put out regulations implementing it. We got the regulations a year ago before the law was passed. So this could be anywhere from 6 months to a good number of years. And it is often the case that the DOE guidance or regulations often just mirror the statute with a few clarifications. So I do not expect that the DOE regs, if any, will be very much different than what we have this.
Off topic, but reminded me of it, and it might not be the right time, so it's okay to tell me not to ask another time. Do we vote with EpiPens? Well, my last understanding was that EpiPens can't be administered by anybody in case of an emergency. And it sounds very similar to this. But do we know if that law changed at all, or am I off topic? My understanding was that EpiPens, you can't use somebody else's EpiPen if someone was having a problem and you have to be trained in it. It sounds similar to that, with administering a drug that I'm not going to tell on your faces.
EpiPen, I think you're,
it's different.
Students, individual students have prescriptions for EpiPens. So if a student has a prescription for an EpiPen, their EpiPen can't be used on someone else. The district does, by code, have to have EpiPens available in case of an emergency. And our school nurses have trained delegates to administer EpiPens if there is an anaphylactic reaction that can happen to a student. who doesn't have a prescribed EpiPen,
Okay.
for example.
No, that was
emergency.
perfect, thank you.
There are different doses, that's why.
It sounded similar, reminded me of it, and I'm glad I asked, so I learned a little bit. Thank you, thank you.
So we have the motion. We have a second. We have discussion. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Weaver. Okay, any new board business? Seeing none, moving on to other board business. Request to attend workshops, workshop reports.
So Dr. Hayes and I attended the Garden State monthly meeting last week. It was down in West Windsor, Plainsboro, and most of the meeting was taken up with two guest speakers, Senator Linda Greenstein and Assemblyman Daniel Benson. And they were really just discussing sort of what's going on down in Trenton, which there was a lot of discussion of topics, but there's nothing really, there are no decisions being made. But I picked out a few things to highlight that I think are of interest and ongoing. I mean, one of the things they were talking about was park, and that this is all, you know, we no longer have park, but it's all up in the air, especially for the high school students. What's, if there's going to be a replacement requirement, and that's not the, it's really more of a question for the current freshmen and sophomores, because the state has sort of put this in abeyance for the current juniors and seniors. So there was discussion about that, the testing and when a decision might be made, and that there's, the commissioner is going to be testifying again upcoming soon, so talking about what he might or might not say. Another thing that was discussed was related to capital improvements and the needs of school districts related to capital improvements, the lack of funding for capital improvements, and that there seems to be some discussion among some of the assemblymen and senators about something like, there was a bond act for higher education a couple of years ago that provided some funding for colleges and universities. So they're talking like maybe there could be a referendum in the future, that there's more state support or discussion around this. So I don't know, we'll see. They did also talk about the Securing Our Future Bond Act. Senator Greenstein was one of the co-sponsors, and as you know, that's the one that passed, and while it included a portion of money for water testing, which most districts, I think a lot of them had already done, and school security, really the bulk of the funding went to the VOTEX. And let's see, they also talked about the funding formula. A lot of time was spent on the funding formula. And I have to say we are really lucky here in Scotch Plains, Fanwood, not only with how careful we've been with our budget, but also the fact that there are a lot of districts who are in terrible financial shape for different reasons. So one of the ones that was the superintendent from Hillsborough was talking about how in his district he has increased enrollment, which should bring more money, but at the same time they're losing a lot of money as well. And they can't really raise the money because even though they have a wealthier community, but they can only go up to the 2% cap. So the wealth in the community's been increasing, but they can't catch up with the community's fair share. So anyway, there are a lot of districts that are caught in challenging circumstances. Another superintendent who was there, their district has, I think they've Oprah'd to try and get the actual school funding formula because nobody's been able to actually get it. They've been told that it's a software, it's proprietary software, and they said, no, it's not software, there's actually a formula that you put into the software. That's what we want. So anyway, so it was a very interesting meeting, and and our next meeting is the annual meeting, and I see there are 6 of us signed up to go, so that's a good thing.
Thank you, Mrs. Bauer. We'd also just like to shout out, because Mrs. Bauer is very, very humble at that meeting. It was also noted that she has been nominated to be the Vice President of Garden State Coalition of Schools. It's well deserved, because you've attended these meetings for all these many years, and they are counting on your voice at the table to help guide that organization.
So we'll see if I'm elected in May.
Thanks for that comment about Nancy. Very good. Okay, 2ODB, Staff Appreciation Week 2019. Can I have a motion? Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Second? Second, Mrs. Winkler. Mrs. Williams, would you read the motion, please?
I make a motion that Board of Ed adopts and signs the following proclamations designating the week of May 6th to the 10th, 2018 as Teacher Appreciation Week. Whereas teachers make public schools great, and whereas teachers work to open students' minds to ideas, knowledge, and dreams, and whereas teachers keep American democracy alive by laying the foundation for good citizenship, and whereas teachers fill many roles as listeners, explorers, role models, motivators, and mentors. And whereas teachers continue to influence us influence us long after our school days are only memories, now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Education does hereby proclaim May 6th to the 10th, 2019 as Teacher Appreciation Week and May 7th, 2019 as Teacher Appreciation Day, and strongly encourages all members of our community to join with it in personally expressing appreciation to our teachers for their dedication and devotion to their work.
Thank you, Mrs. Any discussion on that one? Didn't think so. All those in favor? Aye. No one's going to oppose it, so then it's okay. Motion carries. Sorry. Okay, motion carries. Retiree resolutions. Can I have a motion? Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. A second? Second. Second, Mrs. Williams. Mrs. Winkler, would you please have the honor?
I'd like to move that the board adopt the resolutions for the Scotch Plains Fanwood School District retirees as completed by administrators, whereas name will retire on date after over a blank number of years of service as a loyal member of the blank school staff. And whereas blank instructed students in grades blank through blank and worked with students in the district's elementary, middle, or high school. And whereas blank encouraged students to work hard to reach their potential and instilled optimism and confidence in the students. And whereas blank was a creative and caring teacher who earned the respect and affection of the students and the staff, the administration, and his or her colleagues in his many years of unselfish commitment to the district. Now therefore be it resolved that the Scotch Plains Fanwood Board of Ed recognizes and commends blank for his or her outstanding service and extends to him or her all best wishes for good health and happiness in his or her well-deserved retirement.
Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Any discussion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes from March 14th and March 28th? So moved. Thank you, Mrs. Winkler. Second? Second. Second. Mrs. Williams was first. Do we need a roll call? So, any discussion? Questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And for the final time this evening, in accordance with the Scotch Plains Fanwood Public Schools Bylaw 0164-0165, the meeting will remain open for 15 minutes for public comment. Maximum 2 minutes per speaker. Speakers addressing superintendent items, business functions, and other board business will be heard first. If time remains, speakers may address other matters. When you come to the podium, please state your name and the town in which you reside. Seeing no one, we'll move on for the good of the order. Does anybody have anything for the good of the order? No one else does.
Well, I was just going to say, even though it's relatively new to all of us, the presentation that took place this evening from the Holocaust Museum and the 6th grade students, I think it gave everyone a really good window into the education and the integration that's going on. And when they played that music just for us and the feeling that we got from it, and Stephanie, I think that you summarized that so beautifully in saying how in a dark place that light came out of it and happiness. And as a board member, as a community member, an educator, that was just beautiful, beautiful program. And I'm very, very happy that we were here to see it. So.
Thank you, Mrs. Borland. I agree. It's beautiful.
I want to celebrate the fact that last night we had our district's instrumental music concert, where we had our schools, McGinn, Terrell, Park, the high school, a whole, when you watch the kids perform from 4th grade through 12th grade, it's amazing. Their culminating number was the theme from Star Wars, and you were enveloped by the sound because they had kids in the aisles, they had kids on the stage. It was really very, very well done. Today was Take Your Child to Work Day, and we had a lot of little kids at our high school and a lot of bigger kids at our high school. And I want to just give a shout out to the high school staff. I know this was true in all of our schools, but particularly at the high school because we have so many staff members at the high school and they bring their kids to work. The high school does a beautiful job of arranging activities for the kids to do throughout the day. I'm not sure how much the kids really learn about how hard it is to be a teacher all day, but they do certainly get a good flavor for what's happening at the high school.
Hopefully some of them decide to become teachers.
It would be great. And we also want to send a shout out tonight to Chris Bagdonis, right? Our faithful camera person. Because we want to congratulate you on your accomplishment of becoming an Eagle Scout.
Thank you.
Wonderful achievement.
It really is.
Thank you.
Well deserved. So those are my celebrations for this week.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Gates. If no one has anything else to contribute, then we'll just remind you of the next two meetings. Will be Thursday, May 9th for the open agenda meeting, and Thursday, May 30th for the regular public meeting, both at 7:30 for exec, 8 o'clock for public. And with no other business coming forward, I'd like to call for a motion for adjournment. Thank you, Mrs. Williams. Second, Mrs. Winkler, thank you. I know everybody's going to say all those in favor. Aye. I'm going to say no. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.